Imagine a life where you no longer chase what you desire, but instead you rest in the certainty that it's already on its way. Not because of effort or force, but because your inner world has already received it. The moment you drop the need to pursue, you give it permission to pursue you. There is a profound difference between reaching for something and knowing it's reaching for you. One is filled with doubt and striving, the other with faith and expectancy. You were never meant to be a beggar of your desires. You were meant to be a receiver. The world around you is only a mirror, echoing what you accept as real within. And when you walk in the feeling that your desire is already yours, you will notice the world begin to shift. Not because it changed, but because you did. The energy of chasing keeps it away. The energy of having pulls it near. You must begin to see differently, not with your physical eyes, but with your inner vision. Close your eyes and dare to believe that what you want is already here. Don't just wish for it. Feel it, taste it, smell it. Walk in the mood of fulfillment and watch how reality bends itself to reflect your inner conviction. When you stop running after it and start walking as if it's already arrived, something miraculous happens. It shows up without effort. This is not about pretending in a superficial way. It is a deep, sacred knowing, a silent agreement between your soul and the universe. The moment you say, I am, instead of I want, you shift the current. You stop being the seeker and become the magnet. And what a joy it is to live in that state, where you are no longer worried, no longer desperate, no longer doubting, because now you are calm, you are still, you are rooted in the knowing that it's already yours. And this knowing carries the power the world cannot explain. It is the quiet confidence of someone who has already been answered in secret. While others hustle and strive, you move with grace. While others fear and doubt, you radiate assurance. You no longer need to convince anyone or prove anything, because your reality is being shaped from the inside out. You no longer fight for the dream. You become it. Every time you act from the feeling that it's already done, you rewrite your fate. You walk into rooms as the version of yourself that already has what you once prayed for. You speak from completion, not lack. You move from faith, not fear. And the universe has no choice but to respond in kind. You become like the flower that doesn't chase the bee, yet the bee finds it irresistible. You become still, and things begin to flow toward you. You're not manipulating reality, you are aligning with it. For everything you desire is already yours in another dimension of thought. And the bridge between that dimension and your physical experience is belief, pure, unshakable, unwavering belief. No pleading, no chasing, just standing firm in the feeling of possession. This is the secret. So the next time you think about your dreams, don't think of them as distant. Think of them as already given. Let your imagination touch the edges of that reality. Let your heart rest in the joy of it. Act as if you are not waiting. Act as if it is not missing. Act as if it is already here, and it will come, drawn by the energy of your conviction. Not chased, but welcomed. Not demanded, but received. Desire is not something distant from you. It is not separate, and it is not outside of your reach. The very moment a desire is born within you, it carries with it the seed of its own fulfillment. This seed does not require force to blossom, but belief. Not belief in the traditional sense of hoping or wishing, but belief in the form of knowing. A quiet inner acceptance that what you want already exists in the unseen and is moving toward you in the seen. When you feel a desire rise within you, it is not a signal to start chasing. It is an invitation to align, to enter into the state of having, of being, of already possessing that which you once thought you lacked. This is the shift that changes everything. You do not become the creator by forcing reality to bend to your will. You become the creator by bending yourself into the image of the life you want to live. The assumption of your wish fulfilled is the key to unlocking that door. Most people live their lives trapped in a cycle of waiting and wanting. They speak of what they desire, but their inner conversations betray their disbelief. They say, "I hope it happens," or "maybe one day," never realizing that every such statement is a silent reinforcement of distance. The truth is, if you can see it within your imagination clearly, if you can taste the reality of it in your mind, then it is already yours in the unseen, and all that remains is your agreement with that truth. You see, the outer world is nothing more than a shadow cast by the inner light of your consciousness. Your world reflects not what you want, but what you are, not what you wish for, but what you believe yourself to already have. This is why the assumption of the wish fulfilled is the secret held in plain sight. When you assume that your desire is already fulfilled, you shift into a state of being that magnetizes the physical manifestation. It is not about pretending or daydreaming without conviction. It is about entering the feeling tone of the end result and living from that state, not toward it. This feeling is not a vague hope. It is real, it is specific, it is vivid. You must allow your imagination to create such a clear, strong image that the outer world becomes secondary to your inner certainty. Your emotions must reflect the truth of your assumption, not the illusion of your current circumstances. When you assume the state of your desire fulfilled, you no longer look for signs. You no longer wait anxiously for evidence. You walk in the peace of already having. You speak differently. You move with assurance. You live as one who is already answered. And in that stillness, you become receptive. The inner shift causes an outer response. You do not chase, you attract. You do not beg, you align. And reality reshapes itself to accommodate the new state you have chosen to occupy. It is critical to understand that assumption is not wishful thinking. It is a creative act. It is a conscious decision to accept something as real, now, not in the future, not eventually, but now. Even if everything around you contradicts it, even if no signs appear, even if people call you delusional, you remain unmoved. You hold the feeling. You persist in it. And as you persist, the bridge of incidents will form. Life will rearrange itself to reflect the image you have impressed upon your subconscious mind. This is not a path of effort, it is a path of surrender. You are not trying to create something, you are choosing to receive what already exists. The version of you who already has the life you desire exists now. You must merge with that version through assumption, through imagination, through feeling, and the more vividly and frequently you dwell in that state, the more solid it becomes. Eventually, it becomes more real to you than the outer world. And when that happens, manifestation is inevitable. There is a sacred power in acting as if. It is not fakery, it is prophecy. It is the language of the soul declaring to the universe, "I have already received." And because the universe is obedient to the command of inner conviction, it must respond accordingly. It has no choice. It always matches your dominant state of being. You are not waiting for evidence, you are the evidence. Your mood, your posture, your words, your imagination, they become the proof that the desire is already yours. If you understood just how powerful this shift is, you would stop telling stories of lack, of waiting, of hoping. You would never again say, "I want," because to want is to admit that you do not have. And to affirm that lack is to perpetuate it. Instead, you would say, "Thank you," even before it appears. You would praise in advance. You would smile in solitude, knowing something greater is already yours. And in that mood of gratitude, in that atmosphere of acceptance, the invisible becomes visible. The moment you assume that it is already done, you step into a different timeline. A new world begins to unfold. You are no longer tied to the past or even the present. You are tethered only to your vision. And your vision, if held with faith, becomes the mold into which life is poured. You begin to notice people responding to you differently. Opportunities appear, ideas flow, coincidences gather around you like loyal servants. But none of this happens until you change on the inside. So do not ask, "When will it come?" Ask instead, "How would I feel if it were already here?" and then live from that feeling. Make it your home, make it your reality. You do not need to explain yourself to anyone. You do not need to convince others. All that matters is that you are convinced, because the outer must obey the inner. This is law, this is truth. This is the mystery revealed to those who dare to believe beyond their senses. And once you truly grasp this, you will never chase again. You will know with quiet confidence that it's already yours. Chasing is a subtle declaration to the universe that you do not yet believe what you desire is already yours. It is a signal of inner separation, a confession of doubt, of uncertainty, of disbelief in your own power and the law that governs all creation. Every time you find yourself anxiously searching, begging, hoping, or pushing, you are unknowingly affirming the very absence of what you wish to see. And in this affirmation of absence, you breathe life into delay. The more you reach outward, the more the thing you long for slips through your fingers, not because it is denied, but because your belief in its presence has not yet solidified. True faith does not chase, it does not strain, it does not concern itself with how or when. True faith rests, it dwells in the assurance of already having. And this state of rest is not inactivity, but a deep inner confidence that causes you to move, speak, and live differently. Faith alters the atmosphere within you. It changes the tone of your voice, the rhythm of your thoughts, and the posture of your heart. You are no longer moved by appearances or lack of appearances, because your eyes are fixed not on what is seen, but on what is known. The one who chases still doubts. And where there is doubt, there is resistance. Faith, on the other hand, creates allowance. It opens the gates for life to deliver what is already prepared. When you stop trying to make it happen and instead trust that it is happening, you enter the current of divine timing. You walk in step with the unseen forces working on your behalf. You no longer need to manipulate or struggle, because your inner world has already settled into the reality of fulfillment. The mind that is filled with faith is not shaken by time. It understands that delay is never denial, and absence is only an illusion. It understands that the true work is not external striving, but internal acceptance. Once that inner acceptance is complete, the outer begins to conform, but not before. Many people spend years chasing what they could have simply received by assuming it. The moment you chase, you lose your magnetic power. You begin to repel what you want, not because it does not belong to you, but because your energy is misaligned with its reception. There is a sacred paradox here. The less you try to force it, the faster it comes. This is not passivity, it is precision. You are no longer scattering your energy in all directions, but focusing it within. You are not exhausting yourself in effort, but concentrating your consciousness into a single, powerful assumption, that it is done. From this place, your actions are not acts of desperation, but expressions of alignment. You move not to obtain, but to reflect what already exists within you. This is the great reversal that most fail to understand. To act in faith is to step beyond the need for proof. It is to build your reality on the unseen substance of conviction. Faith knows that what is real is not what the eyes can see, but what the soul has embraced. When you no longer need the outside world to confirm your vision, you are free, you are powerful, you become the master of your reality, not its servant. You understand that your state of being is the mold into which the clay of life must be pressed. So you choose to remain unmoved, unshaken, unwavering, because your truth is already alive within you. Doubt is noisy. It whispers in the background, always asking questions. What if it doesn't happen? What if I'm wrong? What if I'm waiting for nothing? And each time you give your attention to those questions, you give life to the wrong seed. But faith is silent. It doesn't ask. It knows. It doesn't need reassurance because the end is already seen. Faith walks like someone who's been told the outcome and believes it completely. That kind of inner peace cannot be imitated, it must be lived. And when you begin to live it, the world notices. Something shifts. Opportunities begin to find you. People respond to your energy in a new way. Circumstances align without your effort because you are no longer chasing, you are receiving. To stop chasing does not mean to stop dreaming. It means you no longer relate to your desire as something far away. It means you have collapsed the distance between you and what you want by stepping into the state of already having it. In this state, you think differently. You speak differently. You walk into every room with a quiet authority, not because you have the thing in your hand, but because you carry it in your heart. This vibration, this frequency is what draws it into form. The law cannot be fooled. It delivers not to the one who begs, but to the one who believes. Every desire you have is already fulfilled in a higher realm of consciousness. It is not being created, it is being revealed. And it is your belief, your deep sustained belief, that acts as the bridge between what is imagined and what is experienced. When you are full of faith, you are no longer preoccupied with the timeline. You trust the process because you have already accepted the outcome. You are no longer tormented by what you don't see because you are fully immersed in what you know. And in this knowing, you become a magnet. You radiate fulfillment. You speak with clarity. You take inspired steps, not because you are trying to get something, but because you are expressing what you have already received within. This is the truth that sets you free. Faith is not hoping something might happen. It is living from the end result. It is waking up in the morning and thanking life for what is already on its way, as if it were already here. It is looking at your world through the lens of completion, not lack. And when you live this way, when you embody the feeling of your desire fulfilled, you will no longer feel the urge to chase, because you will know deep in your bones that it's not running away from you, it's coming to you. Always, without fail, because you have aligned not with the absence of it, but with the truth of its presence. And that alignment is more powerful than any action you could take. The origin of all things begins not in the physical world, but in the unseen. Before anything takes shape in your outer life, it first forms in the invisible realm of your consciousness. That which you call reality is nothing more than the crystallization of past thoughts, past assumptions, and past feelings. It is never the starting point, it is only the echo. And so if you wish to change what you see, you must return to the source, which is always within. The outer is only a shadow, a projection, a reflection. The real power lies not in what you do with your hands, but in what you do with your awareness. You are not here to chase or force outcomes through action alone. You are here to become inwardly what you want to see outwardly. The physical world is slow and bound by time, but the inner world moves instantly, unrestricted. You can be rich in your imagination while still holding an empty wallet. You can be loved within your soul even before a single person enters your life to confirm it. And that richness, that love, that internal reality, if sustained with belief, must eventually mirror itself in form. This is not fantasy. It is law. It is not illusion. It is creation. Effort that is not rooted in belief is wasted energy. Action that arises from fear or lack only multiplies more fear and lack. You may think you're building something, but without the foundation of faith, it will fall. It will always reflect your dominant inner state. But when your inner world is rich with vision, when your inner conversations affirm the truth of your desire, when your imagination plays scenes of victory, and when your emotions align with fulfillment rather than longing, then your actions are no longer acts of desperation, but natural extensions of your assumed reality. You must stop placing so much importance on the outer. Stop asking for signs. Stop waiting for proof. The outer is the past. It is not where your future is created. Your future is born in the thoughts you think today, the feelings you nurture now, the assumptions you accept as truth in the silence of your own mind. Every time you return your focus to the inner state, you take your power back. You begin to influence the film reel rather than the projection on the screen. And when the reel changes, the scene must change. It is inevitable. It is not about pretending. It is about embodying. Acting as if you already have the thing you desire is not about play acting. It is about realigning your entire state of being to the frequency of fulfillment. It is about making your inner world so vivid, so saturated with the feeling of already having, that the outer world has no choice but to match it. The universe is not responding to your effort. It is responding to your state. And your state is composed of what you believe to be true, what you feel to be real, and what you persist in mentally and emotionally. You must train yourself to live from within, to make the invisible more real than the visible, to close your eyes and see the world not as it is, but as it must become under the influence of your imagination. And as you dwell in that state of wealth, of love, of freedom, of health, you will begin to feel something shift inside you. A calm assurance will replace the anxious need to act. An inner clarity will silence the outer noise. And from this place of stillness, your movements in the world will be inspired, effortless, timely. Not because you forced anything to happen, but because you aligned yourself with the state in which it had already happened. You do not need to chase what you can attract. And you do not attract by willpower, you attract by resonance. The question is never, what do I want to do to get it? But rather, who must I become so that it is drawn to me effortlessly? And the answer is always this: become the one who already has it. Feel like the one who already received the call, the opportunity, the healing, the love. Speak as one who already walks in abundance. Think as one who is no longer hoping, but knowing. This kind of transformation cannot be faked. It must be lived. It requires silence, solitude, and repeated return to your chosen state. It is a daily practice. It is moment-by-moment awareness. Every time you catch yourself slipping into doubt or worry or fear, you gently shift back. You remind yourself that everything comes from within. Nothing outside of you has power unless you give it power. And when you stop giving power to appearances, they begin to change. The world responds to your energy more than your effort. People feel your certainty even before you speak. Opportunities gravitate toward the one who is not frantic but still. And life unfolds beautifully when you stop struggling to make it happen and start assuming it's already happening. That's when your thoughts become magnetic, your presence becomes powerful, and your world begins to reflect the internal truth you've dared to claim. You cannot skip this step. No matter how much action you take, if it's not born from alignment, it will not last. Your inner state must go first, always. It is not a matter of doing more, it is a matter of being more. Being in the state of fulfillment, being in the feeling of already having, being in the belief that nothing is missing. And from that state you will act, but your actions will be guided, effortless and divinely timed. You will be in harmony with life, not in conflict with it. You will no longer chase, because you will have become the one who receives. The secret is not in having more, but in becoming more. Before anything appears in your world, it must first appear in you. The version of you who already lives the life you desire is not far away. It already exists, not in time, but in consciousness. Your task is not to wait for the world to change so you can finally feel like you've arrived. Your task is to shift your identity now, to step into the state of being that no longer needs to chase, because it already knows. To become the version of you who has not the one who is waiting, not the one who is hoping, not the one who is trying. To become the version of you who already has what you want, you must ask yourself, not how do I get it, but who am I in the world where it's already mine? That question changes everything. It moves your focus away from external striving and returns your power to the only place it ever truly existed, within your awareness. You start to see that you are not trying to manifest something from outside, but rather reveal something from within. You begin to realize that the world you desire is not built by effort, but by embodiment. When you step into the identity of the one who already has it, you change your thoughts, you change your feelings, you change your decisions, you walk differently, you speak with a different tone, you engage with people in a new way, not because you are acting, but because you have shifted into a higher truth. You have accepted something inwardly that the world cannot yet see, but soon will. You are no longer reacting to life from a place of lack. You are creating it from a place of wholeness. And that shift of identity, that assumption of being, is what pulls the desire into your reality. You must understand that life does not give you what you want, it gives you who you are. If you see yourself as someone who is still waiting, still lacking, still chasing, then no matter what you do, your world will echo that state. But the moment you change your conception of yourself, when you truly believe you are already the one who possesses the desire, the outer world begins to reorganize itself to match that belief. This is not illusion, this is the mechanics of consciousness. The world cannot help but reflect your inner state. Think for a moment of someone who already has everything you desire. Not only the money or the love or the peace, but the identity, the posture, the assurance. How would they feel waking up in the morning? How would they move through their day? What choices would they make? What thoughts would they entertain? What would they say yes to? What would they no longer tolerate? And more importantly, how do you begin to live as that person now? Not tomorrow, not when things change, but now. This is not a game of pretense. It is the discipline of conscious creation. You are not putting on a mask, you are removing one. You are no longer clinging to the old identity shaped by lack, fear, disappointment, or delay. You are surrendering it. You are stepping into the real you, the one who is always worthy, always abundant, always loved, always powerful. The one who doesn't need to hustle for validation because they already know they are chosen. And when you know that, when you feel that deep in your bones, your energy becomes undeniable. People feel it. Life responds to it. The reason most people fail to manifest their desires is not because they don't want it badly enough, but because they refuse to change their identity. They keep seeing themselves as the one who is trying rather than the one who already is. They speak words that contradict their vision. They feel emotions that reinforce the past. They act from a place of fear instead of faith. And then they wonder why nothing changes. But the truth is, the moment you become the version of yourself who already lives your dream life, everything begins to shift. Subtly at first, then unmistakably. This identity shift is not always comfortable. It may require you to let go of old habits, to release relationships that no longer reflect your truth, to walk away from environments that echo your former self. But this shedding is necessary. You cannot take the old identity into a new reality. You cannot carry doubt into a space of abundance. You cannot embody fear and expect love to flourish. You must make room, and that room is made when you choose to embody the new, fully, without compromise. Every time you declare with feeling, "I am already it," you rewrite your story. You alter the script of your life. You're no longer waiting for the world to give you permission, you are granting it to yourself. And that permission carries authority. It tells the universe, "I'm ready." It says, "I believe." And belief is the creative force behind every manifestation. Belief doesn't come after things appear, it causes them to appear. And belief is born from identity. You can't truly believe in something you don't feel you're worthy of. You can't believe in a life you still see as separate from who you are. That's why becoming is the bridge, it is the alignment, it is the portal between desire and manifestation. So if you want to experience a different reality, stop trying to do more and start becoming more. Start asking yourself throughout the day, who am I being right now? And if the answer doesn't match your vision, gently shift. Not with force, but with intention. Feel your way into the version of you who already has it. Speak the words they would speak, hold the emotions they would feel, breathe as they would breathe, walk as they would walk. And do it again tomorrow and the next day, until it becomes so natural that you forget you were ever anyone else. This is the true power of creation, not in wishing or waiting, but in becoming, not in chasing outcomes, but in embodying the source. And once you have become the one who has it, your world will have no choice but to follow. Stillness is not the absence of movement, it is the presence of unwavering faith. It is the quiet center from which true power flows. When you become still within, when you cease the mental chatter, the emotional scrambling, and the desperate search for signs, you allow the universe to work in your favor. You give your desire space to come to you. The anxious mind pushes it away, but the still mind pulls it in. The stillness is magnetic because it is rooted in belief. It is the living declaration that you no longer need to chase, because what you seek is already on its way. Most people misunderstand stillness. They think it's passive, that doing nothing means nothing is happening. But stillness is not inaction, it is alignment. It is not sitting in fear, waiting. It is standing in faith, knowing. There is a vast difference between waiting in doubt and resting in certainty. Stillness is not hesitation, it is confidence. When you are still, you are not frozen, you are poised, you are receptive, you are attuned to a deeper rhythm of life that flows far beyond the rush and noise of the world. And in that silence, you become a powerful attractor of all that belongs to you. The world teaches you to hustle, to grind, to push. But what if the most potent thing you could do is to trust? To trust so deeply in the unseen that you no longer feel the need to interfere. This kind of trust doesn't come from the mind, it comes from the soul. It comes from that part of you that knows the desire is already done, even if nothing in the outer world has shifted yet. Stillness is the expression of that knowing. It is the embodiment of the belief that the moment you imagined it, it began moving toward you. In stillness, you stop chasing signs and start becoming one. You walk with a presence that says, I already have it, and the world responds. You're no longer sending out signals of lack, of desperation, of fear. You are radiating assurance. And this assurance is a frequency, it is a vibration. It tells the universe that you are no longer waiting, you are receiving. Stillness is a signal. It is the clearest message you can send. I trust the process, I believe in the outcome, I have already aligned. When you're still, you stop looking to others for confirmation. You stop comparing timelines. You stop measuring your worth by how fast things are happening. You don't need speed, you need certainty. And certainty comes from one place, your inner world. The one who is still knows that reality bends to the dominant state of consciousness. Not the loudest desire, not the hardest effort, but the clearest state. So you cultivate that state, you live in it, you breathe it in the quiet moments, you carry it into every interaction, every room, every decision, and as you hold that state, life begins to move around you. Stillness allows you to hear, to perceive, to receive divine guidance without distortion. When the mind is loud, when the heart is restless, you miss the signs, you overlook the subtle openings. But in stillness, you see what others miss. You feel what others ignore, and you act from wisdom, not impulse. This is why stillness is so magnetic. It clears the path. It creates space. And in that space, your desire finds its way to you, not through chaos, but through order. Not through striving, but through surrender. Think of how nature operates. The flower doesn't chase the bee. It stands still in its beauty, in its design, in its essence, and the bee comes. It doesn't scream. It doesn't beg. It doesn't panic. It simply is. And that beingness is enough. You were not created to strive endlessly. You were created to align. And alignment is stillness. It is the refusal to move from your place of inner truth just because the outer world hasn't caught up yet. It is the audacity to say, I don't need to see it to believe it. I believe it, and therefore I will see it. This is not about doing nothing. It's about doing the right thing from the right state. When you're still, you are not frozen. You are alert. You are listening. You are ready to move. But only when it's time. Not out of fear, not out of pressure, but from clarity, from peace. And when you move from that place, your steps are blessed. They are effective. You do less but accomplish more. Because now your movement is not canceling your faith, it's expressing it. Stillness first, then motion. In that order, you flow with life instead of fighting it. Stillness is also the space where doubts dissolve. When you are constantly busy, constantly trying, you are feeling a belief that says, I must do more to prove I'm worthy of this desire. But when you are still, you declare your worthiness without a word. You say, I am already enough. I don't need to earn this. I already align with it. It is already mine. That frequency of rest, of inner wholeness, cannot be faked. It must be cultivated. And it's cultivated every time you silence the noise and return to the feeling of fulfillment. Practice being still and watch how things begin to come to you. The right people, the right opportunities, the right moments. They are not random, they are not coincidence, they are responses. Responses to your energy, to your faith, to your stillness. The universe loves a still heart. It recognizes the soul that waits without worry. It honors the one who trusts without trembling. And it always delivers, not to the most desperate, but to the most aligned. Stillness is the doorway through which the unseen becomes seen, the imagined becomes real, the desired becomes delivered. When you rest in stillness, you create magnetic space. You no longer interfere with the unfolding. You let it come, fully knowing it will. You breathe deeply into the now without needing the next moment to justify your belief. And in that quiet, powerful space of inner silence, everything begins to move. Not because you forced it, but because you stopped chasing it and allowed it to find you. Everything begins within. The world you see, the circumstances you face, the life you live, all of it is but a reflection of what you accept as true. The moment you decide with full conviction that you are already wealthy, the world must bend to your assumption. There is no power outside of you granting wealth or withholding it. You are the one writing the script, and the stage of life will always act in accordance with your inner state. To act as if you have already won millions is not to pretend, nor is it to deceive. It is to embody the consciousness of wealth so fully that it becomes your natural state. The law is simple. You do not attract what you want, you express what you are. If you see yourself as struggling, lacking, waiting for wealth to arrive, then the world will reflect those exact conditions back to you. But the moment you shift, the moment you assume that you are already rich, everything changes. Your thoughts, your actions, your very presence in the world take on a new quality. Walk through life knowing you are already the person who has received great wealth. Not in desperation, not in longing, but in absolute certainty. When you step into a room, carry yourself as one who is financially free. When you make decisions, Make them as one who has millions at their disposal. Speak, think, and feel from the state of having, not hoping. You do not chase, you do not worry. You rest in the assurance that what you seek is already yours. The mind will protest at first. It will argue that the bank account does not reflect wealth, that the bills still come, that the evidence of riches is not yet visible. But the truth is, the unseen world moves before the seen. Your only responsibility is to persist in the assumption, to live from the end, to refuse to be swayed by appearances. Do not concern yourself with how it will come. The path is not yours to dictate. Your work is to remain faithful to the state of already having, and life will take care of the details. The world will shift, opportunities will arise, and wealth will flow in ways you could not have planned. But it all begins within. See yourself as already victorious, already abundant, already holding the millions in your hands, and reality will follow. Everything you experience in life begins with the thoughts and assumptions you hold within. The world you see is not separate from you, but a mirror reflecting your inner state. If you believe yourself to be lacking, struggling, or waiting for something to change, then life must conform to those beliefs. The law is unyielding. It does not respond to wishes, but to certainty. When you shift your inner world, the outer world follows. There is no exception. Many people live under the illusion that circumstances shape their reality, that the state of their finances, relationships, or opportunities dictate how they feel. But the truth is the opposite. It is not the condition that creates the feeling. It is the feeling that creates the condition. The way you think, the way you feel, and the way you assume life to be is the invisible force shaping everything you encounter. Consider the person who constantly worries about money. They believe it is scarce, that they must work endlessly to obtain just enough, that wealth is reserved for a select few. Because they accept this as truth, their actions and decisions reflect it. They hesitate to invest in themselves. They doubt opportunities. They approach life from a place of fear. And so, life provides more of what they believe: financial struggles, obstacles, and limitations. Now, contrast this with someone who embodies the consciousness of wealth. Even if their bank account does not yet show millions, they carry themselves as though they are financially free. They assume that opportunities are abundant, that money flows to them effortlessly, that they are always supported. This assumption influences their thoughts, which in turn affect their actions. They move through the world with confidence, they make bold decisions, and they naturally attract circumstances that reflect their belief in abundance. The difference between these two individuals is not their external conditions, but their internal state. And because the external world must reflect the internal, their realities unfold accordingly. One experiences constant struggle, while the other naturally attracts wealth. The world does not determine who you are. You determine what the world must show you. To truly grasp this, you must recognize that nothing in your life is happening outside of you. Every event, every opportunity, every challenge is appearing as a result of the consciousness you are holding. If you see lack, if you feel stuck, if you experience financial hardship, it is because somewhere within you are identifying with those states. Change does not begin by fixing things on the outside. It begins by shifting the way you see yourself on the inside. If you desire wealth, you must first assume the state of being wealthy. This does not mean pretending or playing make-believe. It means genuinely adopting the mindset and feeling of already having what you seek. Feel the security, the freedom, the ease that comes with financial abundance. Let that feeling dominate your mind. Walk, talk, and think as one who has already received. This is not wishful thinking, it is the foundation of creation. The world outside of you is like a screen, and your inner world is the projector. Whatever you hold in your mind is what life must reflect back to you. If you believe wealth is distant, life will confirm that belief. If you know beyond doubt that you are already rich, the world will organize itself to prove you right. This principle applies not only to money but to every aspect of life. Love, success, happiness, all of it is determined by what you assume to be true. The mistake many people make is waiting for the outside world to change first, not realizing that the power to change lies entirely within them. They chase opportunities, they react to circumstances, they struggle to fix things externally, never understanding that the root of their experience is in their own consciousness. The moment you shift your inner state, the outer world must follow. There is no other way. You are not a victim of circumstances, you are the cause of them. The wealth you seek is already within you, waiting to be claimed. The only question is whether you will assume it as true or continue to look to the external world for validation. Do not wait for signs. Do not wait for proof. The proof comes after you believe, not before. If you desire wealth, take a moment now to feel what it would be like if you had already won millions. Not in the future, not someday, right now. Let the feeling of financial freedom wash over you. Feel the relief, the joy, the excitement. Hold on to this state as if it were your reality, because it is. Your inner world is the seed from which everything grows. What you water with your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs will eventually appear in the physical world. Nurture the consciousness of wealth, and wealth will become your experience. Hold on to the belief in lack, and lack will persist. There is no outside force choosing for you. You are the one shaping your life in every moment, whether you realize it or not. It is not enough to simply know this intellectually. It must become your way of being. Every day, remind yourself that the world is a reflection of your state. When doubt arises, return to the feeling of already having. When circumstances seem to contradict your assumption, remain faithful to the unseen reality. Persist in the knowing that you are already the person who has won millions, and life will have no choice but to reflect that back to you. The key to transforming your financial reality, or any reality, is understanding that everything begins within. Change your inner state, and the world will change to match it. This is the only law at work, and it never fails. You must persist in your assumption, no matter what your senses tell you. The world around you is nothing more than a reflection of past beliefs, past assumptions, and past states of being. What you see now is the result of who you were, not who you are becoming. If you allow your current reality to dictate your inner state, you will continue to recreate the same experiences over and over again. This is the trap in which most people live. They react to what is rather than creating what will be. But if you understand the power of persistence, if you refuse to let the outer world control your inner world, you will reshape reality itself. The key to transformation is to remain unwavering in the feeling of already having what you desire. There will be moments when doubt creeps in, moments when circumstances seem to contradict your new assumption, moments when the old reality appears more real than the new one you are creating. These moments are tests, nothing more. They are opportunities to prove to yourself and to the universe that you are committed to your new state of being. If you waver, if you allow these moments to pull you back into doubt, you reset the process. But if you persist, if you hold on to your assumption regardless of what the world appears to show you, then the world must eventually conform. Most people give up too soon. They try to assume the feeling of wealth, but when their bank account does not immediately reflect that wealth, they fall back into worry. They attempt to feel abundant, but when they encounter an unexpected bill, they panic. And in doing so, they reaffirm the very state they are trying to leave behind. They do not yet understand that reality takes time to shift, that what they are seeing now is only a reflection of their past self. If they would only persist in their new assumption, they would see the evidence of their transformation unfold before them. The world is like a mirror, but it is a delayed mirror. When you shift your state of being, the reflection does not change instantly. It takes time. Just as a seed does not become a tree overnight, your new assumption must be nurtured, protected, and believed in long enough for it to take root in reality. You cannot plant a seed and then dig it up every day to see if it is growing. You must trust that the process is working, even when you see no evidence of it. Imagine a person who has won millions. Do they doubt their wealth? Do they constantly check their bank balance to make sure the money is still there? No, they simply know. They operate from a place of certainty, not questioning whether or not they are wealthy, but moving through life with the deep confidence that they are. This is the level of persistence you must develop. You must refuse to entertain any thought, any feeling, or any action that contradicts your assumption. You must walk through life as though what you desire is already yours, without hesitation, without questioning, without seeking external validation. Many will argue that this is unrealistic, that one must be practical, that one must acknowledge the facts of their current situation. But what they do not realize is that these so-called facts are only temporary. They are not permanent. They are not immovable. They are simply the remnants of past thoughts and beliefs. If you wish to change them, you must persist in a new assumption long enough for it to override the old one. If you let go too soon, if you revert back to doubt, then you remain trapped in the cycle of your past self. Persistence is the bridge between the invisible and the visible. It is the force that turns imagination into reality, that transforms the unseen into the seen. Without it, even the most powerful assumption is meaningless. It is not enough to briefly feel as though you have won millions. You must remain in that state until reality bends to match it. You must hold on to that feeling even when the world presents you with evidence to the contrary. This is the challenge, but it is also the path to true transformation. Consider how easily people persist in negative assumptions. If they experience a small failure, they assume they will continue to fail. If they encounter rejection, they assume they are not worthy. If they face financial struggle, they assume money will always be scarce. And because they persist in these assumptions, reality continues to reflect them. But if they would apply that same persistence to the assumption of abundance, success, and wealth, their experience would change just as surely. The principle is the same regardless of what you desire, whether it is wealth, health, love, or success. The key is to persist in the assumption that you already have it. Do not waver, do not let doubt take root. Do not allow temporary appearances to shake your belief. The world must conform to your inner state, but only if you hold that state long enough for it to take shape. When you persist in your assumption, something remarkable happens. At first, it may feel like you are pretending. It may feel as though you are lying to yourself, but as you continue, something shifts. Your mind begins to accept this new reality as truth. Your emotions align with it, your actions follow, and before you know it, the world itself begins to reflect what you have been assuming all along. This is not magic, it is the law of consciousness in action. There is no force outside of you preventing your desires from manifesting. The only obstacle is your own ability to remain steadfast in your assumption. If you can master this, if you can persist regardless of what the outer world appears to show you, then nothing will be impossible for you. Reality is malleable. It bends to the will of those who refuse to accept anything less than what they have chosen to believe. If you were already wealthy, you would not be checking your bank balance in worry. If you had already won millions, you would not be questioning whether or not money was coming to you. You would simply know. That knowing is what you must develop. And the only way to develop it is through persistence. Stay in the state of already having. Hold on to the feeling and watch as the world reshapes itself around you. The feeling of the wish fulfilled is the secret to reshaping reality. The mind operates in a way that it does not distinguish between what is physically present and what is vividly imagined. When you assume the feeling of already having what you desire, you begin to shift your inner world, and soon the outer world must follow. This is not a passive process. It requires full engagement of the senses, emotions, and thoughts. It requires a deep immersion into the reality of your assumption, as if you were already living it. Most people try to manifest their desires while still feeling the absence of them. They long for more money while feeling the lack of it. They hope for love while feeling lonely. They dream of success while feeling unworthy. This contradiction keeps them trapped in their current state. You cannot wish for something and at the same time feel its absence. Your dominant state will always win. The key is to embody the state of already having, to feel the reality of your desire so deeply that it becomes natural to you. Imagine what it would feel like if you had already won millions. How would you walk? How would you breathe? How would you think? Would you still worry about bills, or would you move through life with confidence and ease? Your movements would be different, your thoughts lighter, your emotions more expansive. The excitement of financial freedom would not be a fleeting wish, but a living reality within you. This is the state you must cultivate. To feel the wish fulfilled, you must engage all of your senses. If wealth is your goal, immerse yourself in the experience of already having it. See yourself checking your bank account and seeing an abundant balance. Feel the texture of luxury items in your hands. Hear the sound of an expensive car, door closing. Smell the air in a high-end hotel. Taste the richness of a fine meal. The more real it feels to you, the faster it will materialize in your world. This is not about pretending or wishful thinking. It is about shifting your identity. You are not just someone hoping to become wealthy. You are already wealthy in your mind and feelings. You do not think of money as something far away. You think of it as something that is already yours. The same principle applies to any desire. If you wish for love, you do not wait for someone to fill the void. You feel deeply loved now. If you seek health, you do not focus on illness. You dwell in the sensation of vitality. There is great power in living from the end result. When you embody the feeling of the wish fulfilled, your subconscious mind accepts it as reality. It begins to reorganize circumstances, align people, and create opportunities that match your assumption. This is why some people seem to attract wealth effortlessly, while others struggle no matter how hard they try. Those who succeed are living in the state of already having, while those who struggle remain in the state of lacking. One of the most powerful exercises to lock in the feeling of the wish fulfilled is mental rehearsal. Before you sleep, close your eyes and step into your desired reality. See yourself living your dream. Hear the voices of people congratulating you. Feel the emotions of accomplishment, and rest in the certainty that it is already done. The moments before sleep are especially powerful because the mind is most impressionable, and the subconscious absorbs these imaginal acts deeply. Another way to deepen the feeling is through small, consistent actions. If you were already a millionaire, how would you treat yourself? Would you carry yourself with more confidence? Would you take better care of your body? Would you move through the world with ease rather than anxiety? Start incorporating these behaviors now. Act as if you have already arrived, and soon reality will reflect it. Resistance will arise when you begin to live in this new state. The old self will try to pull you back into familiar patterns. Doubt may creep in, and circumstances may challenge your assumption. This is where persistence is crucial. You must not waver when the outer world appears unchanged. Remember that reality is a delayed reflection, and your current experience is only the result of past beliefs. If you continue to feel the wish fulfilled, the outer world must eventually shift to match it. Many people make the mistake of letting the outside world dictate how they feel. They wait for evidence before they believe, but this is backward. The feeling comes first, the evidence follows. If you desire wealth, do not wait for money to feel abundant. Feel abundant now, and money will find its way to you. If you desire love, do not wait for someone to love you. Feel love now, and love will flow into your life. The outer world is a reflection of the inner world, and when you master your inner state, you control what manifests externally. Faith plays a critical role in sustaining the feeling of the wish fulfilled. It is easy to believe when things are going well, but true mastery comes when you can hold on to your assumption despite contradictory evidence. When you can walk through life with the unshakable knowing that your desire is already yours, you have reached the level where manifestation becomes effortless. Faith is not hoping, it is knowing. It is standing firm in your assumption, regardless of what the five senses tell you. Gratitude is another powerful tool in locking in the feeling of the wish fulfilled. When you are grateful for something, you affirm that you already have it. Instead of longing for wealth, be grateful for financial abundance now. Instead of wishing for success, give thanks that it is already yours. Gratitude shifts your focus from lack to fulfillment, reinforcing the reality of your assumption. The greatest creators in history have all understood this principle. They did not wait for proof. They lived in the feeling of their vision long before it materialized. Great artists saw their masterpieces completed before they touched a brush. Innovators saw their inventions changing the world before they existed. Leaders carried the energy of victory before a battle was won. They all embodied the feeling of the wish fulfilled, and the world had no choice but to conform to their inner reality. You are the creator of your experience. There is no force outside of you preventing your desires from manifesting. The only barrier is your ability to sustain the feeling of already having what you seek. If you can hold this feeling consistently, without allowing doubt or fear to take root, you will see your reality shift in ways that seem miraculous to others, but are simply the natural result of consciousness in action. Your state of being determines your world. If you live in lack, you will experience lack. If you live in abundance, you will experience abundance. It is not about hoping, wishing, or waiting. It is about assuming and knowing. Take control of your inner world. Assume the feeling of already having, and reality will bend to your will. The world you see before you is not fixed, solid, or independent of your perception. Reality is fluid, shaped by the assumptions you hold in your consciousness. What you consistently believe, feel, and accept as true determines the experiences that unfold in your life. If you wish to experience wealth, you must first embody the state of being wealthy. If you desire abundance, you must cultivate the consciousness of abundance before the evidence appears. The external world is merely a reflection of your inner state, responding to the dominant impressions you hold. Most people believe in a rigid cause and effect structure, thinking that they must wait for external circumstances to change before they can feel the way they desire. They assume that once they have more money, they will feel secure. Once they find love, they will feel complete. Once they achieve success, they will feel accomplished. But this perspective places power outside of them and keeps them trapped in a cycle of waiting. The truth is, the inner shift must come first. Reality is not something that happens to you. It is something that flows from you. Imagine a person who suddenly comes into great wealth, but still carries the consciousness of lack. No matter how much money enters their life, they remain fearful of losing it. They hoard, they worry, and they behave as if they are still struggling. Soon circumstances begin to reflect this inner state. They make poor financial decisions, unexpected losses occur, or opportunities slip away. Despite their external wealth, their internal world never shifted, and so their reality inevitably returns to match their inner belief. Now imagine another person who has little money but lives in the feeling of abundance. They trust in the flow of life. They expect prosperity. They give freely, and they carry themselves with confidence. They act as if their wealth is already present. Because they embody this state, their external world begins to reflect it. Opportunities arise, unexpected gifts come their way, and financial success unfolds naturally. They did not chase wealth, they became it. This is the power of assumption. You do not need to force external circumstances to change. You need only to change the state from which you operate. When you assume the feeling of already having what you desire, the world around you will bend to reflect that assumption. It is an immutable law, as certain as gravity. The challenge, however, is maintaining this state despite appearances that contradict it. Many people waver because they allow their senses to dictate their beliefs. They look at an empty bank account and feel poor. They see a lack of opportunities and feel stuck. But this is like staring at a mirror and waiting for the reflection to smile before you do. The reflection is not the cause, it is the effect. The cause is within you. If you hold firm to the assumption that you are already wealthy, no matter what your physical reality appears to be, your reflection must eventually change. This is why persistence is key. It is easy to believe when things are going well, but true mastery is holding on to your assumption in the face of adversity. If you wish to manifest wealth, you must not allow temporary setbacks to shake your inner knowing. You must remain unwavering in your belief, as if the wealth is already yours. This does not mean ignoring financial responsibilities or acting recklessly. It means maintaining an internal state of confidence, security, and ease, regardless of circumstances. Your imagination is your greatest tool in sustaining this assumption. The mind does not distinguish between what is real and what is vividly imagined. When you immerse yourself in the experience of already having your desire, your subconscious accepts it as truth. If you were already a millionaire, what would your day feel like? How would you interact with others? What kind of thoughts would occupy your mind? Create a scene in your imagination that implies your wealth is already a reality. Live in that scene, not just as a passing daydream, but as a deeply felt experience. Your words and thoughts must also align with this assumption. Many people sabotage their manifestations by speaking of lack while trying to attract abundance. They say things like, "I can't afford that," or "I never have enough money." These statements reinforce the state of lack. Instead, speak as someone who already possesses wealth. Even if you are not yet spending millions, you can adopt the mindset of someone who is financially free. Instead of saying, "I can't afford that," say, "It's not a priority right now." Instead of saying, "Money is tight," affirm, "Money flows to me easily and effortlessly." Your actions too should reflect your assumption. This does not mean reckless spending, but it does mean carrying yourself with confidence and making decisions from a place of abundance rather than fear. When you act from lack, you hesitate, you shrink, you second-guess yourself. But when you act from abundance, you trust, you expand, you move forward with certainty. Every small action taken in alignment with your assumption strengthens its hold in your subconscious. Gratitude is another powerful way to reinforce the state of already having. When you give thanks for something, you affirm its presence in your life. Instead of focusing on what is missing, focus on what you already have. Appreciate the money you do have, no matter how small. Feel gratitude for the opportunities already present. When you shift your focus to abundance, you attract more of it. Doubt will try to creep in, especially when physical reality seems unchanged. But doubt is simply a test of your commitment to your assumption. The longer you persist in the state of already having, the more the outer world must adjust to match it. If you give up too soon, you revert to your old state, and reality reflects that instead. Stay firm. Keep assuming. Keep feeling as if you already have it. It is not your job to figure out how your wealth will come. That is the work of the subconscious, of the infinite intelligence that shapes reality. Your only job is to embody the state of already having, to assume the feeling of wealth so completely that it becomes second nature. The path will unfold naturally, effortlessly. Many people believe that manifestation requires struggle, effort, and hard work. But the greatest changes occur when you simply become the person who already has what they desire. Instead of striving for wealth, be wealth. Instead of chasing success, embody success. When you shift your internal state, the external world has no choice but to reflect it. Reality is fluid, shaped by consciousness. The world you see is not separate from you. It is responding to you. Your assumptions dictate your experience. Assume the feeling of already having what you seek, and watch as the world reshapes itself around you. There is no force outside of you dictating what you can or cannot have. The only limits that exist are the ones you accept as true. Everything you seek, wealth, abundance, success, already exists, not in some distant future, but in the here and now. It is not a matter of earning, struggling, or proving yourself worthy. It is a matter of aligning with the reality in which your desire is already fulfilled. Most people believe that time stands between them and their goals. They say, one day I will be rich, or someday I will have financial freedom. But time is an illusion. There is no someday. There is only now. The version of you who has already won millions exists in this present moment, waiting to be recognized, claimed, and embodied. When you truly understand this, you stop waiting, stop hoping, stop wishing. You begin to act as if it is already done. Imagine standing at the threshold of two doors. One leads to a life of struggle, where you constantly chase after money, opportunities, and success. The other leads to a life where you already have everything you desire, where wealth flows effortlessly, where success is your natural state. The door you walk through is determined not by chance, but by choice, the choice of assumption. The moment you assume the feeling of wealth, you step into that reality. Most people hesitate because they look at their current circumstances and believe that those circumstances define them. They see a bank account with little money and assume lack. They see unpaid bills and assume struggle. But these external conditions are merely the echoes of past beliefs. The present moment is not defined by what is in front of you. It is defined by what you accept as true within you. The world does not create your state of being. Your state of being creates the world. If you were to close your eyes and strip away every external marker of your identity, your job, your financial status, your possessions, what remains? The only thing that remains is your consciousness, your awareness, your state of being. That is the true source of your wealth. The external world is nothing more than a reflection of the assumptions you hold in that awareness. There is a power within you, a power that does not wait for proof, for evidence, or for the world to confirm its truth. It is the creative force of assumption, the law by which all things are made. You are not a passive observer in life. You are the operant power, the one who shapes reality by the images you hold in your mind and the feelings you allow to take root in your heart. Every great success begins in the unseen. The world around you, everything you now call real, was once invisible. Someone dared to believe it into being. Someone persisted in the assumption that it already was, despite appearances to the contrary. And just as they did, so must you. The moment you claim your success as an absolute fact, the world has no choice but to rearrange itself to reflect that claim. Do you truly believe in the power that lies within? If so, you will not look for signs. For signs follow, they do not precede. You will not wait for permission, for the only authority you need is your own conviction. Walk, speak, and think as the one who already holds the prize. Not as a performer, not as one pretending, but as one who knows. The feeling of certainty, of having arrived, must flood your being. There is nothing to force, nothing to struggle against. The mere acceptance of your success as present reality is the work. If you can see it in your mind, if you can feel the thrill of its possession, you have already secured it. The world will move, people will shift, circumstances will unfold in ways you could not have planned. But all of it begins with a simple, unwavering decision to act as if your biggest success is already here. You are the operant power, the one who gives life to all that you experience. Everything you see, touch, and call real is a reflection of your inner world, the assumptions you hold, and the beliefs you accept as true. Nothing happens to you by chance. There are no external forces dictating your fate apart from the ones you consent to within yourself. This is the great truth that few dare to embrace, yet it is the key to unlocking the life you desire. Most people live as if they are at the mercy of the world, reacting to circumstances, waiting for things to change before they allow themselves to feel successful, happy, or secure. They see their bank account and decide whether they are rich or poor. They look at their relationships and determine whether they are loved or lonely. They base their identity on what the world reflects back to them. But this is an illusion. The world is not the cause, it is the effect. The true cause lies within you, within the thoughts you persistently hold, the emotions you entertain, and the assumptions you refuse to let go of. You must come to realize that you are not merely a participant in life, You are the creator. The power that shapes your destiny is not something outside of you. It is not in luck, fate, or circumstances. It is within your own consciousness, within the assumptions you accept and persist in. The moment you understand this, you will no longer live by reaction, but by creation. You will no longer wait for signs before you believe. Instead, you will believe first, and the signs will follow. To grasp this power, you must first take full responsibility for your life. This is not about blame, but about recognition. The moment you acknowledge that your life is a mirror of your consciousness, you reclaim your ability to change it. You are no longer bound by what has been. You are free to create what will be. The only limitation is your own imagination and the assumptions you choose to entertain. Consider the way a sculptor works. He does not look at a block of marble and wait for it to reveal the finished statue to him. He sees in his mind the masterpiece that already exists within the stone, and he carves away everything that is not in alignment with that vision. In the same way, you must hold in your mind the vision of the life you desire, and you must remove every doubt, fear, and contradictory assumption that stands in its way. If you accept that you are the operant power, then you must also accept that nothing is beyond your ability to create. There are no exceptions, no circumstances too difficult, no conditions too far gone. The only thing that matters is your inner conviction. The world bends to the one who is sure of what they are. The moment you assume something to be true and persist in that assumption, reality has no choice but to conform. This is not wishful thinking, it is a law as precise and certain as gravity. Many people hear this truth and resist it. They argue that life is unpredictable, that external forces are too strong, that change is slow and difficult. But this is only true for those who believe it to be so. The one who understands their own power does not need external validation. They do not need the world to show them proof before they believe. They believe first, and the world adjusts itself accordingly. Think of any great success story, and you will see this principle in action. Every great inventor, every visionary, every leader who changed the course of history began with nothing more than an idea, a belief that something could exist even when the world told them otherwise. They did not wait for the world to agree with them. They persisted in their vision until the world had no choice but to reflect it back to them. You must do the same. Stop looking at what is and letting it dictate what will be. The circumstances you see today are only the outpicturing of your past assumptions. If you want a different future, you must assume a different reality now. Do not wait for external confirmation. Act as the one who already has what they desire. Speak as them, think as them, feel as them. And as surely as the sun rises, your world will shift to reflect your new assumption. There is no need to struggle, no need to force things to happen. Creation is not about effort, it is about assumption. The moment you accept something as true, the unseen forces of reality begin working to bring it into form. People will move, events will unfold, opportunities will appear, but all of it begins with you. Your only task is to assume and persist, to hold unwaveringly to the state of the wish fulfilled. If you look at the world and see lack, failure, or struggle, it is because you have accepted those as your reality. But the moment you choose to see abundance, success, and ease, those too must become your reality. Nothing can appear in your world unless it first exists in your consciousness. This is why you must guard your mind, train yourself to see only what you wish to experience. Doubt and fear may arise, but they have no power unless you accept them. The moment you feel doubt creeping in, remind yourself of the truth. You are the operant power. Nothing outside of you has authority over your life. The only thing that matters is what you choose to believe. The world will test you not because it is against you, but because it is a mirror. If you waver in your assumption, if you allow yourself to be swayed by appearances, the world will reflect that uncertainty back to you. But if you remain firm, if you refuse to accept anything less than what you have assumed to be true, then nothing can stop it from becoming reality. This is not about pretending or playing a role. It is about knowing. When you assume something is true, you do not act as if it simply becomes who you are. The person who believes they are successful does not need to prove it to anyone. They walk with the quiet confidence of someone who knows. They do not seek validation, for they already possess the inner conviction that what they desire is theirs. Your success, your happiness, your fulfillment, they are all within you now. They are waiting for you to claim them, to assume them as true, and live from that assumption. The world cannot withhold anything from the one who knows their power. When you stand firm in the belief that your desire is already yours, the universe moves to make it so. The only question is, will you claim it? Do not wait for evidence before you believe. Do not wait for the world to confirm what you desire. The key to manifesting success is to assume it is already yours and to live from that state of mind. You must no longer approach life as if you are striving towards something in the distance. You must embody the reality that what you seek is already accomplished, that it is already unfolding, that you are already the person who has it. Most people live their lives in a constant state of waiting. They wait for their circumstances to improve, for their dreams to become possible, for opportunities to arrive. They believe that once they see the changes they desire, then they will believe in them. But the truth is, the external world is only a reflection of the inner world. The results you seek will never appear until you first claim them within yourself. To live from the end means to step into the feeling of already having what you desire. It is not about pretending or faking it. It is about knowing that it is done. When you decide that something is already yours, your mind, body, and actions align with that assumption. You carry yourself differently. You think differently. You speak with certainty, and your energy shifts. Think of a person who has already achieved great success. They do not wake up wondering if they are successful, hoping that the world will reassure them. They know who they are. They move through life with confidence, certainty, and purpose. They do not question whether success belongs to them. They operate from the conviction that it does. And because they think and act in alignment with that belief, their world continues to reflect their inner certainty. You must do the same. If you desire financial prosperity, you must no longer think like someone struggling with money. You must stop identifying with lack, with worry, with the idea that money is difficult to obtain. Instead, you assume the state of wealth. You think, feel, and act as someone who already possesses abundance. You move through life with a quiet assurance that money flows to you easily, that you are always provided for. That wealth is a natural part of your existence. If you desire love, you must no longer see yourself as someone searching for it. You do not wonder if you are worthy, if love will come, if you are good enough. You assume that love is already present in your life. You feel cherished, adored, deeply connected to the partner you desire. You speak and act from a place of fulfillment, not need. And as you live in that state, love appears in your world in ways you could never have planned. Your assumptions dictate your reality. The moment you accept something as true and live from that truth, the world adjusts itself to match your conviction. It may seem impossible, but it is no different from the way a seed grows into a tree. You do not force the process. You do not question whether the seed will become what it is meant to be. You trust that the moment the seed is planted, nature takes care of the rest. Imagine a person who has been struggling with their career. They have tried everything, worked hard, faced countless rejections, and yet success still seems out of reach. If they continue to identify as someone who struggles, if they keep believing that success is difficult, then that is exactly what they will continue to experience. But the moment they shift their perspective, the moment they assume the identity of someone who is already successful, everything changes. They no longer speak of struggle, they speak of certainty. They no longer focus on obstacles, they focus on possibilities. Their actions align with their new assumption, and soon the world must reflect that change. This is not wishful thinking, it is a fundamental law. The external world is always a mirror of the internal state. When you shift your assumption, when you embody the reality of your success, the world has no choice but to conform. If you want to experience abundance, you must think from abundance. If you want to experience joy, you must think from joy. If you want to experience love, you must think from love. Every great transformation begins within. It is easy to fall into doubt, to look at your current reality and feel as though nothing is changing. But that is the greatest illusion. The moment you decide to live from the end, the process has already begun. Just as a tree takes time to grow, just as a river takes time to carve its path, the changes you seek are unfolding beneath the surface. Your only task is to remain faithful to your assumption, to refuse to waver, to hold firm to the reality you have claimed as yours. Think of the person who has already achieved what you desire. How do they think? How do they feel? How do they carry themselves? Begin to embody that state now. Do not wait for circumstances to change. Become the change. Speak with the authority of someone who knows their success is inevitable. Walk with the confidence of someone who is already living their dream. Many people hear this truth and resist it. They argue that they cannot act as if they are wealthy when their bank account says otherwise. They believe they cannot feel loved when they are alone. They think they cannot experience success until they have proof. But this is the very mindset that keeps them stuck. The person who waits for proof will always be waiting. The person who believes first will always receive. Living from the end is not about ignoring reality. It is about choosing which reality to accept. You can accept the one that reflects lack and limitation, or you can accept the one that reflects fulfillment and abundance. The choice is always yours. There is no force outside of you that determines your success, no external power that grants or denies your desires. The only thing that shapes your life is your own state of consciousness. What you assume to be true will become true. What you persist in feeling will solidify into your world. Nothing is stopping you except the belief that you must wait. But there is nothing to wait for. The success you seek is already yours the moment you claim it. Live from that truth and watch as your world reshapes itself around you. Your imagination is the most powerful tool you possess. It is not a place of idle fantasy, but the creative force that shapes your reality. Every great achievement, every invention, every breakthrough in history first existed in the imagination of someone who dared to see beyond what was visible. When you harness the power of imagination and align it with the conviction that your desire is already fulfilled, you set into motion an unseen process that brings your vision to life. Most people underestimate the power of their imagination. They believe it is separate from reality, that it is merely a place of dreams that have no real effect on the world. But the truth is, imagination is the blueprint from which reality is constructed. The life you live today is a direct reflection of the thoughts and images you have consistently held in your mind. The home you live in, the work you do, the relationships you experience, each of these began as an idea before it took form. Nothing can exist in your world unless it first exists in your imagination. To create success, you must first see yourself as successful. You must not only think about success as a distant goal, but feel it as a present reality. When you close your eyes and imagine yourself already living the life you desire, you are aligning yourself with that experience. You are training your mind and body to accept it as truth. The more vivid and real your imagination becomes, the more natural it feels, and the more quickly it manifests in your physical world. Your subconscious mind does not distinguish between what is real and what is vividly imagined. It accepts whatever you persistently impress upon it. If you continuously imagine yourself struggling, failing, or being unworthy of success, your subconscious will shape your world to match those assumptions. But if you deliberately fill your mind with images of triumph, abundance, and fulfillment, your subconscious will bring those experiences into your life. The greatest mistake people make is using their imagination to reinforce their limitations instead of their potential. They replay past failures, dwell on fears, and envision worst-case scenarios, not realizing that by doing so, they are unconsciously creating more of the same. Every time you allow yourself to indulge in thoughts of doubt or defeat, you are strengthening those conditions in your life. But the moment you take control of your imagination and use it to picture only what you desire, you begin to reshape your world. If you desire financial success, begin to see yourself as already wealthy. Picture yourself living in the home you want, experiencing the freedom and security that come with abundance. Feel the ease of knowing that money flows to you effortlessly, that you are always provided for. Walk through life with the inner confidence of someone who has already achieved financial prosperity. Let that feeling become so real within you that it no longer feels like a dream, but a certainty. If you seek love, do not dwell on loneliness or the absence of connection. Instead, imagine yourself in a relationship filled with deep love and understanding. See yourself being cherished, valued, and adored. Feel the presence of your ideal partner, even if they have not yet appeared in your physical world. The moment you embody the feeling of already having love, you become a magnet for it. The right people, the right circumstances, and the right experiences will naturally gravitate toward you. One of the most powerful ways to impress your imagination upon your subconscious is through the technique of mental rehearsal. This is the practice of repeatedly visualizing your desired outcome with full sensory detail. Athletes, performers, and successful individuals across all fields use this technique to achieve extraordinary results. They see themselves succeeding before it happens. They feel the emotions, hear the sounds, and engage all their senses in the experience. And because their subconscious mind accepts these imagined events as real, their bodies and actions naturally align to make them a reality. Your success is no different. If you want to experience a major breakthrough in your life, begin by rehearsing it in your mind. Picture yourself standing in the moment of triumph. If your goal is to receive an award, imagine yourself walking onto the stage, hearing the applause, feeling the weight of the trophy in your hands. If you desire business success, see yourself closing major deals, expanding your influence, and celebrating your achievements. If you dream of traveling the world, envision yourself stepping onto a plane, feeling the excitement of new destinations, and experiencing the beauty of different cultures. What you repeatedly focus on in your imagination becomes your reality. Every great innovator, artist, and leader has understood this principle. They did not wait for the world to show them proof. They created the proof within their minds first. They believed in their vision before anyone else could see it. And because they held on to that belief with unwavering conviction, the world had no choice but to conform. Your mind is your most powerful tool. It is the birthplace of every possibility, the origin of every success, the foundation of everything you will ever experience. If you can master the art of controlled imagination, there is nothing you cannot achieve. Doubt will try to creep in. The logical mind will attempt to dismiss your vision as unrealistic. The world may not yet reflect your desires, but none of that matters. What matters is what you choose to accept as true. If you persist in imagining the reality you desire, it will become inevitable. The time to use your imagination is now. Do not wait for circumstances to change before you believe in your success. Do not allow temporary appearances to dictate your inner world. Take control of your imagination and fill it only with thoughts of what you desire. See yourself as the person you wish to be. Live in the certainty that your greatest success is already unfolding. The moment you fully commit to this practice, your world will begin to transform. Doors will open where there were none before. Opportunities will arise in ways you never expected. The invisible forces of the universe will move in perfect harmony to bring your vision to life. But it all begins with you, your imagination, your belief, your willingness to live in the end before it has arrived. Let your imagination be your guide. Dare to see beyond what is visible. Persist in your vision with absolute certainty and watch as the world bends to reflect the reality you have chosen. There is an unseen force that governs all things, a divine intelligence that moves in perfect harmony with your beliefs. When you understand this, you will realize that success is not something you must chase, but something you align with. Every experience, every opportunity, every result in your life is a direct reflection of what you accept as true within yourself. The world outside you is not separate from you. It is an expression of your inner state. Change what you believe to be true about yourself, and your reality will conform. Most people believe they must work harder, struggle more, and fight against resistance to achieve their desires. They see success as something outside themselves, something they must reach for. But this belief only creates more struggle because it is rooted in the assumption that what they desire is absent. And as long as they continue to assume its absence, they reinforce its distance from them. The key to true success is not in effort alone, but in alignment. You do not need to force success into your life. You need to become the version of yourself that naturally attracts it. The version of you that has already achieved success exists right now. In the infinite possibilities of creation, that reality is already complete. The only reason you do not yet experience it is that you are still identifying with a version of yourself that has not yet received it. The moment you shift your identity, the moment you see yourself as the person who already has what you desire, the world will rearrange itself to match that assumption. To live in alignment with success, you must first become it in your mind. You must feel the way you would feel if everything you desired had already been accomplished. Walk through life carrying the inner knowing that success is inevitable, that it has already been done, and that all you are doing now is stepping into its fulfillment. When you adopt this state of mind, you no longer act from a place of lack or desperation. You act with confidence, clarity, and purpose, because you are no longer seeking success, you are embodying it. Your energy changes when you live in this state. The way you carry yourself, the way you speak, the way you make decisions, all of it shifts. People notice. Opportunities present themselves. The world reflects back to you the certainty you hold within. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to attract success effortlessly? It is not because they are lucky or more capable. It is because they have aligned their inner state with the reality of success. They do not question whether they will succeed. They move as though it is already done. If you want to experience this transformation in your own life, you must begin to see yourself differently. Right now, you may hold beliefs that limit you, beliefs that tell you success is hard, that you are not ready, that others have more advantages. But these are just assumptions you have accepted over time, and they are only true for as long as you believe them. The moment you decide to believe something new, your world will change to reflect it. Success is not something that happens to you, it is something that flows through you. When you are in alignment, you do not have to force things to happen. You become a magnet for the right people, the right circumstances, and the right ideas. Have you ever had a moment where everything seemed to unfold perfectly, as if guided by an unseen hand? That is the power of alignment. When you no longer resist, when you no longer doubt, when you step fully into the assumption of success, life begins to work in your favor. Doubt is the only thing that delays what is already yours. The moment you start questioning if success will come, you step out of alignment with it. The moment you worry about how things will happen, you introduce resistance. But when you trust, when you hold firm in your inner knowing, there is no longer anything blocking the flow of success into your life. This is why belief is more powerful than effort alone. You can take all the action in the world, but if deep down you still see yourself as someone who struggles, your actions will lead you back to struggle. But if you shift your belief, if you truly see yourself as someone who is already successful, then even the smallest action will lead to extraordinary results. Success is not about waiting for the right conditions. It is about embodying the right mindset now. Do not look at your current reality to determine what is possible. Your external world is only a reflection of past assumptions. If you want to see something different, you must first assume something different. If you want to live in wealth, assume wealth. If you want to experience love, assume love. If you want to be successful, assume success. The moment you make this shift, you will notice the world respond. You will meet people who can help you. You will have ideas that lead to breakthroughs. You will find yourself in situations that open new doors. It will seem like coincidence, but it is not. It is simply the natural unfolding of your new state of being. There is no force outside of you withholding success. The only thing that has ever held it back is your own belief that it is not yet yours. The moment you let go of that belief, the moment you truly accept that you are already the person who has achieved everything you desire, your life will transform. You must act as if your biggest success is already here, not because you are pretending, but because in a higher reality it is already done. You are simply catching up to it. When you carry yourself in this way, you send a clear message to the universe. I am ready. And when you are ready, all things move to meet you. Every moment you are shaping your reality through the assumptions you hold. Whether you are aware of it or not, your life is an exact reflection of the beliefs you carry deep within. The success you desire is not something waiting for you in the distant future. It already exists in the realm of imagination. The only thing separating you from experiencing it is your own acceptance of it as real. When you assume the feeling of already having what you desire, the world around you begins to shift in response. You no longer act as someone striving for success, but as someone who already possesses it. Your inner conversations are the blueprint of your external reality. What you repeatedly tell yourself, the dialogues that run through your mind day after day, determine the course of your life. If you are constantly affirming to yourself that success is hard to achieve, that opportunities are scarce, or that you are not yet ready, then you are reinforcing that reality. But when you take control of these inner conversations and deliberately align them with the reality you want to experience, everything begins to change. Imagine yourself as already successful. How do you think? What do you tell yourself? Do you dwell on doubt or do you move with certainty? Do you complain about obstacles or do you see them as stepping stones? The successful version of you already knows the answers. That version of you does not worry about whether things will work out because the assumption of success is already embedded within. You must adopt this mindset now. You must speak to yourself as though you have already arrived. Your inner world and your outer world are not separate, they are one and the same. What you assume internally will inevitably be expressed externally. This is why people who believe they are lucky always seem to experience good fortune, while those who expect failure continue to find evidence of it. It is not luck, it is the power of assumption. The world merely reflects back to you the reality you accept as true. If you want to live a life of success, your mind must become a place where success is natural. You cannot afford to entertain thoughts of lack, doubt, or fear. The moment you catch yourself thinking in ways that contradict your desired reality, you must redirect your thoughts. Not with force, but with gentle awareness. When you notice a thought that does not serve you, replace it with one that does. If you catch yourself thinking this is too difficult, shift it to I always find a way. If you hear yourself say, I don't know if I can do this, replace it with success is already mine. You do not need to force external circumstances to change first. That is an illusion. The change must begin within, and then the outer world will adjust accordingly. People often make the mistake of thinking that once they achieve a certain level of success, they will feel confident. But in truth, the confidence must come first. Once you assume the identity of someone who is already successful, your actions, decisions, and energy begin to align with that reality. The world will reflect this new assumption back to you. Think of the people you admire, those who have achieved great things. Do they hesitate in their belief in themselves? Or do they move through life with the certainty that their success is inevitable? That level of certainty is not something they acquired after success. It is what led to their success. They assumed it before they had any external proof, and that assumption became their reality.